Thank you so much for staying with SABC News today. We start with SME on Point, and a little later on we'll bring you Your Money on Market Sense. My name is Liabo Setho. In our featured business of the week, we meet the founder of Denic Cabinets. They design, manufacture and also install bespoke wooden cabinets. She shares the story of how she won a competition which helped her side hustle into a fully-fledged and successful business. Visani Rampisa edited the following insert. While renovating her own home, Dipuo Phakathi struggled to find a service provider who would meet her unique requirements. This led her to pursue a side hustle and ultimately a business that now employs 11 people.
One of the things that I was doing at my house is that I was turning one of the bedrooms into a walk-in closet. And, I also had suppliers come in and quote me, but I felt like all of them were trying to box me. Nobody asked me questions about my personality. So I grew very frustrated and I started drawing and, putting up sizes of what I want and what, how my things will fit. And that's where somebody else told me that, there's actually other people that might have the same problem as you. And that's where the business was born.
At that time, Phakathi was still employed in the corporate sector, and an internal company competition was held, encouraging staff to have side hustles. And as luck would have it, she won the competition. Phakathi is a strong advocate for entrepreneurs taking advantage of enterprise supplier development programs by corporates. Through them, her business has managed to scale up.
As part of that competition, the prize was to win 4 months paid leave to focus on your side hustle. And by that time, obviously, I had established the Denic Cabinets. It was very small in nature, but I must say winning that competition and having that 4 months free time to focus full-time on my side hustle really helped me to, bring the business to reality and actually grow the business.
Phakathi says the pandemic has brought about challenges where home decor is the least of many people's priorities. This has forced her to think of alternative ways for a business to stay afloat.
We've really seen a slowdown in sales. In terms of our residential market, it has really taken a knock. But as such, it also has helped me to think otherwise and to think out of the box. And as such, I never used to do like cupboard or home maintenance. But now I'm starting to get into insurance panels and looking at that maintenance type of revenue stream, because that's really, in tough times like this, that's when you think about other alternative ways to get those sales coming in.
Dipuo Phakathi says to get ahead in business, one should collaborate and not work in isolation.
Wherever you are lacking, find somebody who has that strength and collaborate. We also don't have to start alone. I think that's where people get it wrong. Look for people to collaborate with and be open-minded. And another thing, just go out there and see what are people struggling with, what are people's challenges, do that research, and also try to solve people's problems, and you'll see the money will come from there.
Liabo Setho, SABC News, Johannesburg. Thank you so much for two Denic Cabinets for sharing their story with SME on Point. Remember, we are on Facebook. Our Facebook page is at SME on Point. So every year, the Tony Elumelu Foundation Entrepreneurship program empowers African entrepreneurs through training, mentorship and funding. Applications open normally in January and will be closing on the 31st of March. This is the case again this year. The goal is to create at least 1 million jobs and contribute over $10 billion in revenue to the African economy. Let's chat to Somachi Chris-Asoluka from the foundation. She is the manager for communications at the foundation. Somachi, thank you so much for joining us on SME on Point.
Thank you so much, Liabo. It's so good to be connected. How are you doing?
I'm really great. Thank you so much. Somachi, tell me about the aim of the program. I have attended this program in Nigeria and reported on it, but I'm sure our viewers would like to find more information about what exactly its aim is.
Thank you so much for that question. So the Tony Elumelu Foundation is Africa's leading philanthropy committed to empowering young African entrepreneurs. We do this by identifying young businesses funding them, training them, mentoring them, and giving them access to key networks and key markets. We participate along the entire entrepreneurial value chain because we believe that entrepreneurs, especially on the African continent, need holistic, comprehensive support to ensure that they build and maintain and sustain viable businesses. In a nutshell, that's what we do. And every year we open what we call the TF Entrepreneurship Program, receiving applications from all African entrepreneurs across all 54 African countries.
What would you say is the current state of African entrepreneurship when you look at it in its entirety, pre-COVID and now during COVID, and the prognosis after COVID, what you think the African entrepreneurship landscape is going to be looking like going forward?
I think it's important to start off with the fact that Africa is the most entrepreneurial continent in the world. We have the countries with the highest number of young entrepreneurs. In fact, in Nigeria and in South Africa, two of Africa's largest economies, SMEs contribute over 90% of all businesses in the economy. And SMEs go ahead to contribute about 50% of the national GDP of two of Africa's largest countries. So obviously, SMEs and entrepreneurs are here to stay on the continent. Entrepreneurship is such an important sector when we discuss Africa's economic development. The good news is that before COVID, entrepreneurs were booming, doing well, and post-COVID, African entrepreneurs have demonstrated resilience. They've demonstrated a sustainability power, and they've demonstrated that indeed they're here to stay. But I think what COVID has done is it's now puts even more pressure on those of us in the ecosystem to see how much more targeted we can refine the support we give African entrepreneurs. So post-COVID, we know that nearly half of all businesses on the continent have really been affected. Many have disappeared, and many are taking longer to come back. So African entrepreneurs need more funding.
Oh dear, we seem to be losing Somachi there. The network seems to be a bit of an issue. Somachi, you are back? Somachi, you are back. Can you hear us very well? Let's just go on. The application process itself it's got several elements to it. What do you look for when you look at funding an entrepreneur? I know that you've funded a couple from South Africa as well, but what is it that you look for?
Thanks for that. So we have over 130 entrepreneurs in South Africa already, over 7 years. The things we look out for, first of all, we want to make sure that you've done your market research. You want to make sure that there's a market for your good, your product, or your service. We also want to make sure that your idea is feasible. We want something that's sustaining, something that's long-term, and something that's here to stay. Third, we want to make sure that you have the business skills, the capacity, the leadership ability to take your business from idea stage to growth stage. We want to make sure that you have what it takes to be an entrepreneur. Finally, we also want to see what you're contributing towards the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. So each entrepreneur on our program demonstrates how their business will actively support Africa achieving the SDGs. Those are the three things that we look out for when we assess the thousands of applications that come into our program.
You've got a couple of days before the application closes. It closes on the 31st. Can you tell our viewers where they need to go in order to get the application process going?
Yes, thank you so much, Liabo. Our application started in January 1. It's closing on March 31st. We want to appeal to all young African entrepreneurs to take a chance at themselves, to apply to the program, to set themselves up for business success. The program is straightforward. We go through the training, we take you through mentoring, we take you through equipping and capacity building and making sure that your business is sustainable, not just for now, for the long term. It's a program that has benefited over 9,000 African entrepreneurs across all 54 countries. So I want you, everyone who's watching this, to encourage all the young entrepreneurs in your network to simply go to tfconnect.com, that is tefconnect.com, and apply for this life-transforming program. I encourage all of you.
Right. Somachi Chris-Asoluka from the Tony Elumelu Foundation, thank you so much for sharing your the thoughts of the foundation, and also the fact that the application is going to be closing very soon on the 31st, and you might want to get your application in. I know that they also give you seed seed capital, sometimes to the value of about $5,000 US. So that's something you want to really look at as an entrepreneur. Well, this is all from SME On Point, but we still have Your Money on Market Sense coming up next.